Howdy. Welcome to my shop. My name's Ron and I'll be your host for the next 10 minutes or so. Being a fourth generation carpenter, wood is that's my language. It's my living, it's my hobby, it's my passion. One of those passions is making stocks. I've never had any formal training in this. I just wanted to put a piece of wood on a gun one day, and I seemed like that'd be a pretty unique challenge, so I tried it. And been going at it ever since, but honestly, I owe a lot of my success to my customers, my friends that have suggested this or that, different ways of doing it to produce a better outcome. And so I appreciate them. I owe them a great deal. The finish that I use was suggested by a friend of mine that owns a gun shop in Georgia, a guy named Dan. I've been friends with him for many years, and I owe him for that knowledge. So I don't suggest that my way is the only way. That's just not the case. I picked up my abilities to do this from watching other people and seeing other things and then figuring out how to do that. So it's a process. Some ways are better, cleaner, faster. They require less effort. On and on it goes. And I'm open to learning new and better ways. I'm always looking for that. My grandfather used to say, never let a day go by that you don't learn something. So when I do, I'll often look up, thanks, Pop, because no matter how old you get, you still need to be learning new things. So come on in. I like a small wrist. I like delicate, dainty little guns, as long as it's strong enough to hold the recoil and not break. That's the main thing. You got to get them strong enough. So if you find a gun that you like, measure it. Just take you some calipers. I have some here somewhere. This is the previous stock I built for this rifle that I'm working on right here. This was a youth model. Obviously, made it shorter. On the butt, I made it full length, and then I cut off this block, and then I cut off this block, and then I pinned them back on where I could add them back as I needed to. But this dimension from this cut plus a butt pad to the trigger, I think it was 11.5. Anyway, it raised my grandsons that were coming up at the time. One of my grandsons killed his first 2 deer when he was 8 with this rifle. So obviously the grip was also smaller. You can see that this grip here is at the narrowest point. Is only an inch. It's an inch and 5/16, and that's really tiny. But it's a youth rifle. All right, I have a factory Remington 7400 here that I just happened to grab because it's available, and I'm going to measure the grip on it. It's actually less than what I made on the 788. This is really tiny. Yeah, that's an inch and 3/16. That's really small. I'm hesitant to make one that small. I like mine more like about an inch and 3/8, inch and 7/16. So what I'm going to do is set this caliper at 1.5 inches, which is going to give me some room to carry it down, but for my rough end purposes I want to go with 1.5 inches. And you can see how much more I've got to take off to make this 1.5 inches. Alright, this caliper is set in 1.5 inches. You can see how much more I got to take off to get it down to 1.5 inches. Right now it's about 3/16 heavy on both sides. It's just for reference. It's just for reference, and I can't stress enough the value of that center line. Everything goes from that center line. And the next thing I want to remind you of is keeping this light dead in the middle, because it throws shadows. And shadows will mess with you. So you put that light dead in the center of this center line. The camera's not lined up where you can see that, but it is. It's in the middle of that center line. Now I'm going to start with a grinder. There's some talk about walnut dust being carcinogenic. It definitely tastes bitter and makes my nose feel bad. So when I'm grinding, I have a mask. I'm looking down on the top of this. I have a top view and I can see both sides. And that's close enough for rough in. Now I'm going to flip it over and work on the bottom side. Alright, I'm going to show you what it looks like from this end. Alright, because I'm in the way, it's really hard to get the camera positioned from the bird's eye view that I have when I'm working on this. But you can see how I've dipped this in right in here for the wrist. And the grip cap, I'm just working on the back of it now. I'll come over here and do the wrist here in a little bit. See, I've dipped that in with a grinder, and then I've used my plastic pad here as a guide to go by, and I've kept a reveal. I've just kind of paralleled that plastic, and I've kept a little bit exposed on the wood to where I have room to use my sand block and my file to straighten it up. The grinder, that thing, it's a 36 grit disc, and it's a little worn out, so it's probably a 40 something, 45, but it still removes a lot of wood. You can see the amount of dust I put in the floor. It takes off a lot of wood, it saves you a lot of time, but it doesn't always get it straight this way. So you have dips, you have little dips. You can actually take the light and shine it and see the shadows. When you move the light, it creates shadows. And you can see all the little dips. Well, that's what you take out with a sand block. The sand block is your friend. The sand block will get it straight. These, I just take a block of wood and take a sand belt, and I have them in everything from 50 to 120, and I'll just round that end over, make a really nice tight fitting block of wood, and stretch a sand belt, a belt sander belt over it, and then you can rotate it. You can spin it around and keep using the newer parts of it. But a sand block, a straight block, is your friend. They will do what nothing else can do. I've seen a lot of really expensive Winchesters and Brownings and stuff, and when you look at them in the light, because they're so glossy, You look at them in the light and you see just waves, just woo, woo, woo. Makes me sad that they don't have a system to make that work better. But I shouldn't be throwing off on them. They're great rifles. Alright, there are ways to use some sort of a grinder or sander on this wrist pistol grip, but I'm going to show you the way I started. This is the way I used to do it. It's actually pretty quick. Alright, that was real time. About 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Then you use a finer rasp. This is extremely, you can see the teeth on this thing. This is an extremely coarse rasp, 14 inches, I believe. Big old bad boy. But gets a lot of work done. It's also aerobic. I don't understand people that go to gyms to work out. You know, it doesn't do any good to try to blow the chips away when you have on a mask. It just doesn't work. Well, thanks for choosing to spend your time here with me today. I hope you've enjoyed this program. I'll try to post a new segment each weekend. In addition, if you'd like to read about a stock that I made and then it took a 20-foot free fall, click on the link at the bottom of this page. It's called The Broken Gun. It's a story I wrote a few years ago about my 2 boys. Sometimes life's hard and things get broken. Now and then we get a chance to fix them. I'm so grateful for the opportunity I had to repair this broken stock. It led to a restoration that I never could have imagined. As always, if you like this video, please click the like button and share this with your friends. Have a great day.